Hello everyone and welcome to day number 2 of the Klaczynski Open 2013. I am Pooka and with me are over 120 players at the first major independent Pokemon TCG event. This is going to be one incredible finish to this event. We've had all sorts of different decks do well, all sorts of different players do well, and we've had old players, new players. It's just been an incredible atmosphere, an incredible event, and I'm hoping another one like these will happen in the future. But right now we have 2 more rounds of Swiss, and then we will end the Swiss rounds, cut to a top 8, and we will decide a winner today on Sunday. Now in this match, we're going to have a very, very interesting story. Our first player is going to be Henry Pryor, who we featured in an earlier round. He's playing that Virizion Genesect deck. He is about 16 years old, I think. He's a player that just aged up into Masters last year, and he's obviously doing extremely well. His opponent is actually a player named Lex, who is in the seniors division. He's about 13 years old from what I've heard, and he decided to play in the main event anyway, just to test his skills against the higher division, the better competition. And he's managed to go 5-0 so far in this tournament. Somehow, he's managed to get through all the Masters. You know, a lot of people say, oh, seniors, whatever. But he's shown that he can compete with the best, and I'm excited to see him in action here. So we're going to have Lex against Henry here. So we're going to have Lex on the left. Henry will be on the right. Now Lex is playing a Darkrai Garbodor deck. Of course, Henry is playing the Virizion Genesect deck still with that heavy Drifblim line. So this should be interesting. I'm not really sure how these decks interact with each other. This is a brand new matchup since Virizion Genesect is a new deck in the format. Just came out in Plasma Blast, so it's brand new. I've had limited interaction between Darkrai and this deck. I would assume Lex is actually favored in this matchup, and we're going to begin. So we got 75 minutes, best 2 out of 3 here in round number 6 here at the Klaczynski Open. We got a Sableye for Lex, a Virizion EX for Henry, and it looks like Henry's going to bench that Genesect EX and start off with an N. So both players are going to shuffle their hands in and then draw 6 cards. Now, in particular, Genesect is not a great attacker against Darkrai EX. Sure, it does 100 and then 22 bench Pokemon. And maybe with that, you can knock out that 100 HP Garbodor. But if we're going to go in a head-to-head matchup, it seems like Darkrai may have the advantage if it can get that Dark Claw, do 110 damage with Night Spear, 32 bench Pokemon. It'll be great. The big factor may be for Henry, that G-Booster Ace-Spec card. So it's a tool, you can only play one of it in your deck, but when you attach it to Genesect EX, it gets an additional attack which does 200 damage. And then you have to discard 2 energy attached to the Genesect EX. So the wild card in this matchup probably will be that G-Booster card, which will be able to knock out Darkrai EX in one hit, maybe change the pace of the game. Now something interesting to note, Virizion EX has that ability that when there's a grass energy attached to any of your Pokemon, that Pokemon cannot be affected by special conditions. So we see that Hypnotoxic Laser sitting in Lex's hand. He cannot play it, well he could play it, but it would have no effect. It will not poison or put that Virizion EX to sleep because it has a grass energy on it. This is why Virizion EX is such a strong Pokemon. Shuts off one of the strongest items in the game in Hypnotoxic Laser. However, Lex does have that Trubbish on the bench. So next turn, if he could evolve into Garbodor, get a Pokemon tool on it, now all of a sudden, his Hypnotoxic Lasers are alive again. Since Virizion EX's ability is shut off, he can just go ahead and keep playing those Hypnotoxic Lasers like nothing happened. So it's actually a very complicated, interesting dynamic here. I'm kind of excited to see how it's going to all play out. Now again, Lex is 13 years old, from what I've been told. He's a senior. I think he's from the New Jersey area. That's what I've heard. So this is an incredible accomplishment for him. Being 5-0 this far, he actually just beat Alex Brosseau in the previous round, one of the game's legendary players. In an extremely close matchup, came down to a coin flip. Lex was on the winning end. So this kid knows how to play. And I'm excited to see what we're gonna see from him. Now, he did use Junk Hunt there, just got a Dowsing Machine back. He wanted to get that Darkness energy in the discard pile. Also got an N back into his hand, which could be better than the Skyla there. He wants to get that Darkness energy in the discard for that Dark Patch, so he can accelerate onto his Darkrai EX. And as you can see, he puts the Darkness energy to the side in his discard, knowing that at some point he'll just play a Dark Patch and go ahead and grab that. Now Henry, he's using an Ultra Ball here. Looks like he has already attached a Plasma Energy to the active Virizion EX. And he's going to go ahead and use Emerald Slash, maybe? I don't think he's announced the attack. Alright, he's just searching. But yes, this turn his plan is to use Virizion EX's Emerald Slash. For 1 Grass and 1 Colorless Energy, 50 damage, search your deck for 2 Grass Energy, and attach them to one of your benched Pokemon. He also goes for that Lugia EX. Probably anticipates that being a very big attacker in this matchup, just because that Plasma Gale attack can net you extra prizes in the right situations. So now we'll see what Henry can do next. Now, he does play that heavy Drifblim line, I think a 4-4 Drifblim line, which will be basically worthless in this kind of a matchup, as we do see the Emerald Slash, 2 Grass Energy go on to Genesect EX. He's going to be able to power that up really quickly. But again, that Drifblim line, worthless in this matchup. Those Enhanced Hammers in his deck, worthless in this matchup. That's almost 10 cards in his deck that are just absolutely worthless. That's 1/6 of your deck that you cannot even use in this matchup. So we'll see if he can overcome that ridiculous handicap. You know, those cards that are mainly used for the Team Plasma decks. We'll see if he can basically be playing with 50 cards here. That's what's happening. Alright, so turn 2, Lex is capturing out the Lugia EX. He got a Float Stone on the Trubbish, but I have not seen a Garbodor or anything. He's going to Energy Search, put an energy onto Darkrai EX. And we may have to just see another Junk Hunt from him here. Looks like Lex has not drawn extremely well this game. And looks like he may just be going for a Junk Hunt. I'm not sure if he has anything else in his hand. He's going to bench a couple more Sableyes. Looks like his deck is heavily focused on that Sableye, which is a twist compared to, you know, the deck kind of like Takuya Yoneda used at the World Championship. It was more a Darkrai Garbodor deck, whereas Dustin Zimmerman, the one we saw earlier, was more of a Sableye Garbodor deck, just focused on Junk Hunt, getting back items, and that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how aggressive can his deck actually be, and can it keep up after Henry starts to power up all of his attackers? Because if there's a spot where the Virizion Genesect deck is very strong, it's when Virizion EX can use Emerald Slash multiple times and power up multiple attackers. Genesect EX is a very expensive attacker. Costs 2 Grass, 1 Colorless. It's going to take multiple turns to power that up. So when you can use Emerald Slash multiple times, you can then get 2 energy on one Genesect, 2 energy on another Genesect, and then all of a sudden you're powering up multiple attackers. But it looks like Henry's going to be very aggressive here. He's going to go ahead and catcher out the Trubbish and then use Megalo Cannon with Genesect EX. The damage worked out beautifully, 52 Sableye. So then he can do knock out the Trubbish and the Sableye at the same time. And all of a sudden Lex is on the back foot here. He's going to be in some trouble. He'll need to respond very quickly here. Maybe with a Dark Patch, but the big thing is the Trubbish is gone. There's no Garbodor. He cannot play his Hypnotoxic Lasers for any effect anymore. So he's just stuck using Night Spear, and that is just kind of a daunting reality. When you consider that if he actually does go for the Night Spear this turn, if he can actually power it up, he'll need probably like a Dark Patch, maybe a second one. If he does that, and then Henry just responds with that G-Booster and does 200 and knocks out the Darkrai, it's almost like Lex can't even win this game anymore. So this is where the Virizion Genesect deck can really shine. You know, you can put on some big pressure with these kind of cards. And so far, it's been so good for Henry, and Lex is kind of struggling to set up here. So now Lex is playing an Ultra Ball here. He has to choose which 2 cards he wants to discard. He'll probably search for another Trubbish with this. He's making a tough decision. What does he want to get rid of? I think he has an N in his hand and a Chorus. So he was debating, do I want to end my opponent to 4, or do I want to Chorus myself for 8? Decides to discard the Chorus, trying to disrupt Henry a little bit, since Henry did have that big Chorus on the previous turn. Has a lot of cards in his hand, so he wants to disrupt him. However, Lex does not have much to work with. You know, he's only going to get 6 cards off this end. I mean, only 6 is kind of a joke, but I mean, 6 cards is great, but he's going to need a lot of different cards here to pull off a Night Spirit. He's going to need double Dark Patch and an Energy, or a Dark Patch Energy and a Float Stone, something like that. And it looks like he got none of that. Oof. He's got a Dark Claw. He does have a Dark Patch. He's going to power up Darkrai. He's got an Enhanced Hammer, that Plasma Energy off the Virizion EX, and pass. No attachment for the turn. And Henry here, he's going to need a Float Stone or an Energy to get that Genesect EX out of the active spot here. So can he get that out of the active spot and continue to put on pressure? Now he may, if he has an Energy and a Float Stone, he may go to Virizion EX and just Emerald Slash again. Power up another attacker. Perhaps power up Lugia EX. Perhaps power up another Genesect EX. He's got options. He actually did put a Drifloon on the field. Doesn't really hurt to put one down, since all the rest of his attackers are EX Pokemon. They give up 2 prizes. Doesn't really hurt if you give up 1 prize with a Drifloon. So it doesn't really matter if you put that down or not. So right now it seems like Henry definitely is at a huge advantage. You know, of course he has the 2 prize lead, but furthermore he has just the general board advantage. He has more energy on field. He can put on some pressure here. It'll depend on what he has in his hand though. You know, if he just decides to retreat into Genesect here and Megalo Cannon, he doesn't really have much of an advantage anymore, because Darkrai is just going to start trading blows, and then Darkrai will actually have the first attack on the Genesect, and he may have the advantage. So here comes Darkrai. Henry does use another Megalo Cannon and knocks out that active Sableye, and now we're going to have a Juniper for Lex. Still no Garbodor for him. He's not running well with this game. Things are not flowing too well. He will be able to Night Spear here, but this is going to be a scary turn for him. If Henry can pull off a G-Booster attack this turn, he may have just sealed the game up. So this is going to be a monumental turn here. If he can G-Booster this turn and knock out that Darkrai, I think he'll be in fantastic shape. But if he doesn't, he may be in some trouble. We do have the Tropical Beach that's going to counter the Verbank City Gym. And there's the Skylaw. Is the G-Booster in his deck? Yes, he is. And he grabs the G-Booster, and now we're going to see that Darkrai evaporate instantly. And what can Lex do now? He's going to be down 6-1 in prizes. And we can... you might have to name this card GG Booster, because once this comes down, your Pokemon is gone. Alright, so he's actually going to attach a 4th energy. You do have to discard 2 for G-Booster. And then it's going to be left. He'll just need 1 more energy to attack 1 more time, and that'll be the game. So unless Lex has an N here. Oh, he does have an N. Okay. So he's going to shuffle in and draw 6. Henry will only get 1 card. Now there's a chance Henry has used a lot of energy cards so far. He may not have a 3rd one to follow up with the G-Booster. So there's still a small opening for Lex to do something here. He's going to need, you know, if he can get a Garbodor in play and then maybe hit a Hypnotoxic Laser. And looks like there's the Garbodor. Does he have the laser to follow it up? And, oh man, if he draws a 3rd Dark Patch off of this. Oh, that was actually close. And he has a counter stadium for the Tropical Beach. Wow. Wow, if he would have drawn a 3rd Dark Patch off of that N, I would have lost my mind. He would have been able to Night Spear this turn. So there's 2 Dark Patch. I think he would have won if he got that. But looks like he's just 1 card short. He's going to play the Random Receiver as well. He'll reveal until he gets a supporter, which is a Skyla. Not really what he wanted. So it comes down to this. Does Henry have an energy to attack for the game? Did he get it off of his end to win? And Lex, you know, he can either junk hunt here, get some items back, or he can confuse Ray and try to confuse that Genesect EX in case Henry does have the energy. It's a very difficult decision. You know, if he confuses it, he may stop the Genesect EX from attacking and could put this game on a flip if Henry does have the energy. Otherwise, he could junk hunt, get some more items, and improve his position. But which one do you go for here? I may consider a Confuse Ray if I'm in Lex's spot. But it looks like Lex is going to go for the junk hunt. And does Henry have the energy to win? Does he have that last energy to win the game? Oh, he got a Juniper. Oh, no. And you can see Lex puts his head back like, oh, you got to be kidding me. But wait, there's no energy. Henry doesn't have an energy in hand. Oh, my goodness. He can't attack still. He actually missed up the Juniper to 7. And like I said, he has burned through a lot of energy so far. So perhaps he just doesn't have one. He does have that Tool Scrapper, though, which is a very big deal. That's going to shut off Garbotoxin, which reactivates Virizion EX's ability. And now Genesect EX is no longer poisoned. But what does Henry do in this spot? Surely this Genesect is going to go down. And Lex could very well make a 6-1 comeback here. He's going to go ahead with a Dark Patch onto Darkrai. Now he can Night Spear the Genesect EX for a knockout, and Henry's just left with one energy in play. It's just the one on the Virizion EX. What can he do from here? He may just have to use Emerald Slash again? But how does he get his last prize? You know, if he has a catcher, that Sableye actually is an option still. So Lex is going to go ahead with a random receiver. He's hoping for an N, crossing his fingers for an N. He wants to flip over the N on the random receiver. Where is it? Oh, it's a Juniper. Alright, so Henry will keep his hand. Does he have a way to get the energy, though? If he can get a catcher and an energy, he can Emerald Slash that Sableye for the final 50 damage and win the game. Now, I did see there is a Plasma Energy left in Henry's deck. He also plays a Shadow Triad. So if he could draw into one of those and get a catcher, we're probably going to see him win here. Otherwise, Lex has a great opportunity to make an extremely big comeback. He was getting dominated this entire game. But now, just with a few Night Spears, the energy is gone from Henry's field, and this is one of the problems with the Virizion Genesect deck. Once you lose your attacker with all the energy, you just kind of sputter and fizzle out, and, I mean, you don't have attackers anymore. You have to kind of take a step back. It's kind of like with the Plasma deck. When your fully powered Kyurem goes down, you have no option but to use Thundurus EX's Raiden Knuckle to try to recover. So we'll see what happens. We're going to see a dowsing machine here from Lex. He's going to grab, looks like a Pokemon catcher. So it looks like he's going to maybe try to target down one of the other EXs. Maybe go after Genesect or the Virizion. Since the active Genesect EX does have 140 damage on it, a Night Spear, 30 on the bench, will be able to knock that out. And we're going to have a Float Stone in the Garbodor, a Hypnotoxic Laser, and now a Night Spear, and Virizion State of Sleep. This could be huge. Lex is going right after that Virizion EX. If this stays asleep, Henry could be in trouble. He could just lose the game here. So Lex will finally take his first two prizes. And it looks like they're having, okay, some kind of dispute there. Oh, Virizion wakes up. Does Henry draw a card to allow him to win the game? It didn't look like he had it in hand to win. We have a Drifloon come out. That's not going to help him. This is down to the wire, folks. And I just want to stress that Burbank City Gym also put Lex in an incredible position. He got rid of Henry's Tropical Beach, which would have been very nice here to recover, to fill his hand up at some point. Now what does Henry do? He's just kind of one card short of winning. If he had an energy, he could Skyla for the catcher and win. So if he just had that one energy, he could win. But now what does he do? He's poisoned. That Garbodor has a tool, so he cannot stop the Virizion EX from being poisoned. Will he be able to retreat it to the bench? Even if he does, that can get knocked out on the bench. And it looks like there are just 2 Plasma Energy, and a Grass in this deck still. So there are plenty of cards left in Henry's deck. Just did not have access to them this turn. And is Lex going to make a stunning comeback here? It definitely looks like he can. What does Henry have for options? He cannot attack this turn. Does not have the energy to do so. This Virizion EX is going to go down to a Night Spear next turn. What do you do if you're Henry? You just don't have any options. You cannot play a Chorus Machine onto a Virizion EX, so you could not even Emerald Slash if you wanted to. This is absurd. Henry was up 6-1 in this game. It looked like he had the game wrapped up. Just needed one more energy card to win this game. But a timely N from Lex disrupted Henry's hand, put him at 1 card. He did not have the crucial energy card to get that last G-Booster or Megalo Cannon to win. And now Henry's just going to Skyla for the Professor Juniper, and Lex can breathe in a sigh of relief as he survives another turn. Also, we thought the game was over when Henry got that Professor Juniper off of the end. Drew 7 cards, just needed an energy to win, and he missed. So that was just, this has just been a brutal game for both sides. You know, Lex with a terrible start, Henry missing the energy to win, but it looks like Lex is actually favored to win this game now. And now we have a catcher onto Genesect EX. He's saying, nope, I'm not going after that Drifblim. I'm going right after your Genesect. And, he's going to count cards in his deck. He's actually very low on cards. So he's deciding whether or not to play an N here. He would draw, if he played an N here, he would draw 2 more of those cards. So it would be a little risky. He would then only have 2 turns to win the game. So does he want to do it? I don't know if he plays Super Rod. If he did, that would be another reason to play an N here. You definitely want to put Henry down to 1 card here. Don't give him any options. If you can put him at 1 card and he doesn't find a way to move his Genesect out of the active, you win. You just Night Spear twice and win. He does 90 to the active, 30 to the bench Virizion this turn. That's what he'll do. Knock out the Virizion EX on the bench. Take 2 prizes. And then next turn, if the Genesect doesn't move, it's just 90 more, and he wins the game. He makes a 6-1 comeback, just like that. And he has a catcher in his hand as well. This game is just about over unless Henry can find some miracle, some way to pull off a win this turn, or perhaps an N of his own. So we do have a Night Spear. Gonna knock out the Virizion, and Henry concedes. He extends the hand, and Lex makes a 6-1 comeback in the first game. Wow, what a way to start day number 2 here at the Klaczynski Open. Our senior player is on a roll here, the 13-year-old. I believe he's from the New Jersey area. Wow, he's putting on a display here. And I'm speechless after that game. It looked like Henry had it all locked up. Lex was just on the back foot the entire game. And just 1 Darkrai EX, Night Speared his way to victory. You know, when that G-Booster came down, knocked out Lex's first Darkrai, it seemed like it was just all over. Henry had a Genesect EX with 2 energy on it. Lex didn't even have anything in play. All of his energy got wiped out. But then an N to 1, I mean, that is the definition of the format sometimes, that N to 1, put your opponent at 1 card here, and then they just don't draw what they need. You can start to open up a door for a comeback, and that is exactly what happened. So incredible play from Lex there. Incredible resiliency from this young player. And he's really showing he can hang with the big guns. This is an incredible story. We have all sorts of Worlds competitors, all sorts of champions in this tournament. And Lex, this young player, this seniors division player, who had the guts to actually play in the main event. There was a 14 and under event, and he opted to play in the main event with all the Masters players. And he's showing, hey, seniors can win too, guys. And there's no doubt about that. Some of these kids are honestly incredible. There's no doubt in that. I've seen all sorts of juniors and seniors players just blow me away with how incredibly smart they are, how incredibly knowledgeable they are about the game. And it's really cool to see. Some of these kids are just prodigies, man. All right, so we got game number 2 starting here. It is a best 2 out of 3, 75-minute Swiss round. And now Henry is going to go first. Puts a float stone on the Genesect EX. And we have a Colress machine. He can search his deck for a plasma energy, attach it to one of his plasma Pokemon. Does not count for your energy attachment for the turn. It's a very nice energy acceleration. And we'll see if he can follow this up. Now, ideally, I think you would want to attach to the active a grass energy, or maybe attach to a Virizion EX. The danger of attaching the grass to the active, if you have one, is he's actually going to catch out Darkrai, maybe buy a turn as well. We're going to play an N. If you attach the grass to the active, you do threaten that turn 2 Megalo Cannon. 100 damage, 20 to the bench. But then you open yourself up to an Enhanced Hammer. If your opponent plays an Enhanced Hammer, discards your plasma energy, you're then set back a turn. You'll need a second Colress machine to pull off an attack. So if you have the option here, you may just decide to attach to Virizion EX if you have the cards to do so. Set up for an Emerald Slash and build up energy in play. And we do see an Ultra Ball from Henry. He's going to grab a Virizion EX, discards 2 worthless cards, that Drifloon and the Enhanced Hammer. Those cards are absolutely worthless in this matchup. But I think the fact that Henry runs, like I said earlier, 10 absolutely worthless cards in this matchup, and he still almost won that first game. He still should have won that first game by all means. Speaks to how strong the Virizion Genesect deck actually is. A lot of people don't think that it's a very good deck, but it is proven to be very good in this tournament. You know, Henry has shown that. We've had some other players playing the deck as well. You know, it may be kind of a weird concept, but it is actually a pretty strong card. By card, I mean Virizion and Genesect, the deck. Virizion's a very strong card. Genesect is a pretty solid card. But overall, this deck has impressed me this weekend. I actually was not a fan of this deck at all. But after seeing it a few more games, especially the way Henry has built his deck, I'm becoming a bigger fan of the Virizion Genesect deck. Alright, so we have an extremely strong start for Lex this game. He's going to Dark Patch onto his Darkrai EX. Got an energy onto his Sableye, and he's going to Junk Hunt, get back that random receiver, and he's going to decide on the second card. Random receiver and an Enhanced Hammer, so he's threatening a turn 2 Night Spear, which Virizion Genesect decks don't really like to see. So what's Henry going to do? He's going to Skyla for that Professor Juniper, and then Emerald Slash for 50. And that's just going to be his turn here. Now he is going to power up a Genesect EX with those 2 energy from Emerald Slash. It's a very nice turn 2. So we'll have to see. You know, Henry last game opted to go with that strategy instead of just building up more energy in play with the Virizion EX. He decided to be aggressive with Genesect EX once he had one powered up, and in a way that ended up backfiring for him. He fizzled out at the end. He was just 1 energy attachment short, and we'll see if that happens again this game. Now we do have Lex playing a catcher on the Genesect EX that has no grass energy, so he can play a Hypnotoxic Laser on it. He does not have Garbodor in play yet. So very smart to, you know, get some damage on the field. Might as well do that. And now he's going to Junk Hunt for a Dark Patch and a random receiver. Now, what can Henry do on this turn? He does play a Colress Machine for a Plasma Energy, goes on to the Genesect EX. And will he Megalo Cannon this turn, or will he take a different route this time and go for the Emerald Slash? Power up a second Genesect EX. Now, if he had a Pokemon catcher, I think he would do the same thing he did in the first game. Catcher something, and then Megalo Cannon, do... Okay, he's actually going to attach a Plasma Energy to the active Genesect EX. Red Signal out the Trubbish. Of course, Genesect EX has that ability, Red Signal. When you attach a Plasma Energy from your hand to it, it acts like a Pokemon catcher. You can bring out another Pokemon on your opponent's bench. And alright, here we go. We have a similar exchange this game. Henry has taken the lead again. He's gotten that quick double knockout with the Megalo Cannon. He does 50 to the Sableye and then 100 to the Trubbish, and then knocks out the Sableye with the 20 to the bench. And now we have Lex responding with a Darkrai. And we're going to have a similar spot. Will Henry have that G booster to knock out this Darkrai, take it off the board? And let's see. We got a Juniper from Lex. He does have an Enhanced Hammer. He can go ahead and play that. That's going to be a very big card, actually. The Enhanced Hammer will discard the Plasma Energy off the active. It's going to force Henry to attach an extra energy. We do have a Dark Patch onto Darkrai. So now Darkrai can be prepared for an attack next turn if he gets a second Dark Patch and an attachment on the following turn. Then we have a Super Rod. He's going to shuffle in a Trubbish and a Sableye. And we're going to see a Night Spear this turn. It'll be a pretty solid turn for Lex. The big thing he just has to avoid is the G booster knockout from Henry. If Henry can pull that off again, he's probably in a pretty good spot. Now, he will be in a difficult situation because of the energy. He'll have to discard 2 in order to use the G booster. So that Enhanced Hammer was actually a very big deal. We may even see him just kind of go back to Virizion this turn and Emerald Slash. But it looks like, nope, he is going for the G booster. And we are just seeing how strong this A-Spec card is. Why all these Genesect EX decks opt to use their A-Spec card on this G booster. That is just such an incredible attack. It gives your Genesect EX such versatility. You go from just a nice 100 and then 20 to the bench attack in Megalo Cannon to an extremely just, I'm going to wreck your face, 200 damage to your active kind of attack. It doubles over. It's kind of like a Darkrai with the first attack, and then it can be versatile and then turn into like a Black Kyurem EX out of nowhere. So will this game play out any differently here? Henry will take another 4-prize lead in this game. The difference this time, Lex does have an energy waiting on his Darkrai on the bench, so there is a potential for him to Night Spear on this turn. And if he can do that, I think he's in a good position, just based on, the number of energy that Henry has in play. And based on the damage that's already on board for him. We do have a Colress here from Henry. He's going to draw 6 off of this. So he'll be stocked up on cards for next turn. And there is that G booster attack, 200 damage. And that's going to be a knockout. What will Lex do here? He's got an Ultra Ball in his hand. Discarding Random Receiver. And then Sableye. He's going to search his deck for a Garbodor, and oh no! Garbodor is prized. Both of them are prized. Oh no! And Lex throws his head back, and can you blame him? Really? Both of my Garbodor are prized? What a terrible, terrible turn of events for Lex here. He will not have Garbotoxin. He will not have Hypnotoxic Laser to work with in this game. Wow. That's a devastating, devastating thing to find out. Normally when you search your deck for stuff to see what's prized, you don't really search for 2 Garbodor to be prized. I mean, you can search for, all right, how many catchers do I have? How many Dark Patches do I have? Are my Enhanced Hammers here? But you always just kind of assume that 1 of 2 Garbodor are in your deck. And they just were not this game. And now this is going to put so much pressure on Lex to get a Night Spear this turn. And it looks like he got it. He has a Dowsing Machine here. Going to discard a Dark Energy, and then he might discard 2 Dark Energy. Maybe a catcher. Yep, discarding 2 Darkness Energy. He's got a Dowsing Machine for that Dark Patch. Power up his Darkrai this turn, and he will Night Spear. So he can go ahead and then knock out the active Genesect EX. And where is he going to put this 30 damage? It's actually a very complicated decision. He's going to put it on that bench Genesect EX that already has 60 on it. Does retrieve both Garbodor from the prizes. So we'll have that next turn. And now how will Henry respond here? He does have a Chorus in hand. He's going to go ahead and play it. Now there is a little bit of a risk here with the Chorus at this stage in the game. Shuffling in and drawing cards out of your deck. He's gone through a decent amount of grass energy. And I'm assuming he's going to use Virizion EX's Emerald Slash this turn. He may use that to power up, well, maybe Lugia EX. That could get him his last 2 prizes on a knockout and a Sableye. But if you draw the grass energy out of your deck, then you can no longer use Emerald Slash to fetch them, because they have to be in your deck to actually attach them to your Pokemon. Doesn't look like it mattered here. It looks like there are plenty of grass left in his deck this time, but just something to keep in mind in the future. So we do have an Ultra Ball for Henry. He's going to take that Drifloon out of the deck, just thinning his deck a little bit. There's no reason he needs those cards in his deck. He discarded a Drifloon and a Drifblim with that Ultra Ball. Takes another Drifloon out of his deck. Those are not cards he wants to draw into. They are worthless in this matchup. And he's going to retreat to the Virizion EX. And who is he going to power up with this Emerald Slash? Now he has options. He's actually going to Catcher the Sableye. This actually gives him even more options. Alright, so now his play is kind of clear. He's going to go ahead and Emerald Slash, do 50 to Sableye. Put the 2 energy onto his Genesect EX. And now Lex has a catcher. He's debating, do I want to just take the prizes, or do I want to go after the Genesect that has the 2 grass on it? He's going to go for the prizes here. But now Henry has a clear play. He's got 50 on the Sableye. And, actually Lex decided not to evolve to Garbodor here. Maybe this is a situation where you just don't want to deck yourself out. So you want to wait, and you want to shuffle the Garbodor back in and hope to redraw it so that you don't deck out. Also, if he has a Dark Energy, he doesn't want to lose it when he retreats, so he wants to put the Garbodor out after. So we'll see what he got here. He does need to retreat the Sableye. Looks like he does have the Float Stone. He'll be able to attach that to Sableye and retreat. And then he should be able to get Garbodor out here. And then he can shut off abilities. I don't know if the abilities will actually matter at this point. They could, though. Shutting off Genesect EX's red signal could actually be a game winner at this point. And we do have a Night Spear. This game is still pretty close. We have a Dark Claw in his hand as well. So if he does 30 to the Genesect EX, and he's going to go down to 2 prizes here. If he does 30 to the Genesect EX, and then he can Dark Claw, and then play Hypnotoxic Laser, do his final damage to win. But now Henry just needs a catcher here. I think he's got it. He's playing very quickly. He can Tool Scrapper on the Garbodor, and then Red Signal out the Garbodor. Double knockout with Megalo Cannon, and what a fast-paced game. Beautifully played by Henry there, setting up that final double prize knockout to tie this series up. Boy, these decks are very evenly matched. These players are evenly matched. And what can we expect from game number 3? I don't know. This is exciting, though. No wonder both these guys are 5-0. They're both playing extremely well. Both battling through adversity. And both have incredible deck choices for the event. Henry probably has the more untested deck, this Virizion Genesect deck. It's just a deck that just came out recently. It has cards from the newest set, Plasma Blast. I mean, the entire deck is based around new cards. So this is probably something he had to test a lot. And then he just kind of showed up to the Klaczynski Open and said, I hope this deck is good. My testing has showed me this deck is very good. So I'm going to go ahead and run with it. And hopefully my testing wasn't wrong and I can actually use it in a tournament setting. And so far, I mean, it has. He's won 5 best-of-3 series in a row to go 5-0 here. So this Virizion Genesect deck is real. It's here to stay. It's a very solid deck. And we'll see who's going to come out on top here in game number 3 between Lex and Henry Pryor. Now, interesting to note, Henry did go first in the first 2 games, I believe. So now Lex will be able to go first in this third and final game. This could be a big difference, you know. Henry got the first attack in on a Sableye both times with Emerald Slash, and then followed it up with a turn 3 Megalo Cannon double knockout. So now if Lex can get a quicker Night Spear, maybe take away that option for Henry to get that quick double knockout with the Megalo Cannon, this could change the entire complexion of the game. And we have a mulligan from both players. Both players do not have basic Pokemon, so they'll shuffle in and draw 7 new ones. So neither player will draw an extra card off the mulligan, or off their new hand, because both players did mulligan. It's basically just a wash, and both players are just going to reshuffle their decks again, apparently. We're going to sit here and watch some more shuffling. Henry's deck seems to be a very interesting choice for the event. He seemed to pretty much cover all of his bases. You know, Genesect is a grass Pokemon. It can really go head-to-head with Blastoise because you can just knock out the Blastoise very easily with Megalo Cannon, take away that deck's energy acceleration. The Drift Blame and the Enhanced Hammers are very hard counters to the Team Plasma decks that rely on so much special energy. And then, heck, I guess he's got even enough strength to go toe-to-toe with the Darkrai deck. So he's pretty much got all his bases covered. Fortunately for Henry, I don't think he's run into any Victini EX yet. I think that may be a problem for his deck. But otherwise, it seems like he's got all of his bases covered. All right, so we're shuffling up here for game number 3. In round number 6 of the Klaczynski Open between Lex D'Andrea and Henry Pryor. Again, Lex is a senior division player, 13 years old, competing with the Masters here. He opted to do so. Opted to test his skill against the best of the best here. And he is 5-0 here at this major event. And we'll see if his run can continue. Will he go 6-0, take down a very, very solid player in Henry Pryor? Or will Henry take down this win, go 6-0, and guarantee himself a spot in the top 8? So Henry does mulligan again. That gave Lex an extra card to start off with. It's been 2 very exciting games as well. And we have a third mulligan from Henry. So that's not something he really wants to give Lex. You know, Darkrai Garbodor is a deck that really benefits from having those extra cards early on. If you can get Darkness Energy into the discard pile, start to get those dark patches early on. That's a huge advantage. If he can pull off a turn 2 Night Spear, that'll pull off so much pressure. And Henry may not be able to respond to that. So every mulligan is just another chance for Lex to draw better cards to give himself a better turn 1. So this time, will we see Henry get a basic? And yes, all right. So we're going to be here in game number 3 of this series. And we'll see how this one goes. Looks like we have a Sableye staring down a Virizion EX. Darkness goes on to the active Sableye, and there's a random receiver. Let's see what he gets off of this random receiver. He gets a Colress. Oh no, that's the worst one you could see. Colress is very strong later in the game, but early on, it'll only get you 1 or 2 cards. In this situation, it only gets you 1 card. You draw a card for each benched Pokemon in play, and that is not the card he wanted to see here. Oh man, that is a brutal card to see. That's going to set him back an entire turn and almost negate his first turn advantage. And he's actually going to go for the Colress for 1. He decides, you know what? I have that random receiver in my discard pile. I can just go ahead and get it. This is an extreme risk for Lex, though. I'm not sure I agree with this. What's his 1 card? Actually, Hypnotoxic Laser. So it's actually a playable card. The reason I don't like this is, sure, he can get back the random receiver, and he actually gets back the laser, too. But what if he random receivers into a Skyla? What if he random receivers into a Colress again? And I mean, he could just set himself back multiple turns here. You know, if he did just junk hunt for the random receiver, kept his original hand. If he got a Skyla, he would still have options. He would still have the option to attach more energy. So this is a very, very risky play from Lex. We'll see if it pays off, though. It certainly can. You know, if he gets a Professor Juniper or an N off of this, he can certainly still just kind of go off flawlessly. But man, I'm going to be waiting to see what he gets off that random receiver next turn. If he flips over a Skyla, he's going to be behind 2 turns, doing nothing in his initial 2 turns. And this will just allow Henry to set up too much energy in play. It looks like we're going to see a Skyla for Tropical Beach for Henry. And this could actually give Lex, you know, another way out to maybe bail him out if he does draw another bad supporter off that random receiver. So we just see an energy attachment to the active Virizion EX, which takes away his poison since it does have a grass energy on it now. Oh, and Lex top decks a Juniper. All right. I guess that worked out for him. He's going to play a random receiver. And it looks like he wanted to go for the N so that he could kind of disrupt Henry's new 7-card hand. So it looks like he will do the N. Yep, he's going to shuffle in, force Henry to shuffle in as well and draw 6. So no harm, no foul on the chorus there. Seemed to work out pretty well for Lex. And that's just kind of the nice thing about Sableye's junk hunt as well. Being able to get back item cards from the discard pile. That's why you play random receiver in this deck. It's an item card that fetches you a supporter. So you can just kind of play it to get a supporter, and then Sableye can get it back for you in these dire situations. Ooh, that does not look too pretty for Lex, though. We're going to see an energy search, get an energy onto the Darkrai EX. He can now retreat freely thanks to Darkrai EX's Dark Cloak. And we'll probably just see another junk hunt here. And he's going to have a handful of items. Boy, I sure hope Henry doesn't have Getsis. Alright, so we're going to see a junk hunt for an energy search and a random receiver. See a float stone go on to Virizion EX, and just an N from Henry. No energy attachment from the hand. You know, ideally Henry would like to get an energy and then a Genesect EX. If he can get both of those, he'll be able to use Emerald Slash for 50, get 2 grass energy out of the deck, and attach them to Genesect EX. Prepare for a Megalo Cannon on the following turn. Also, interesting to note, Lex is now shuffling his hand back in. So that hand of 7 item cards is now back in his deck. He'll probably have mixed feelings based on what he draws here. Looks like that's a hand he'll like, though. Ah, wow. That's almost a perfect hand off that end for Lex. All right, so Henry does get the Genesect down. No energy, though. He misses the turn 2 energy attachment, retreats to Drifloon, and has to Tropical Beach for the turn. Oh my, what a change of events here just based on having 1 energy card. We see a Professor Juniper now from Lex. If he gets a Dark Patch here, he can turn 2 Night Spear. Well, turn 3 Night Spear, I think. This game has moved so slowly that I've lost track. But looks like he did miss the Dark Patch. And so he's just going to Ultra Ball for a second Trubbish here. And this is what has been a fast-paced, hard-hitting series in the first 2 games. Now is going to slow down a little bit. And Lex will junk hunt once again. Oh, he's actually going to Tropical Beach. He decides, you know what, there aren't too many items I actually want back, so I'm just going to draw until I have 7. Why not? So that's also an option. Normally when you have Sableye, you just say, well, duh, I'm going to junk hunt and get back 2 items. But he just decided, there's no cards that actually really help me for next turn. Let's just draw until I have 7. That's a smart play. I like that. The best thing he could get back was Enhanced Hammer, which is useful, but marginally useful. It's probably better to get a Night Spear next turn. So what's Henry going to do here? We have an Ultra Ball. It puts a Float Stone on the active Drifloon. Sorry, still the basic. And he's going to play a Chorus here. Lex did fill his bench, so he'll draw 8 cards off of this Chorus. 5 Pokemon on Lex's bench, 3 on Henry's. So Colress for 8 is a very, very solid draw card. Probably, I mean, Colress by far is the best draw card when the benches are getting bigger. 8 cards is a ridiculous number to draw, probably in any card game. And now I'm thinking we're going to see Henry get an energy off of this one. And we're probably going to see an Emerald Slash. Yep. It's going to attach to the Virizion EX. And then retreat. And Emerald Slash for 50. Probably setting up for that double knockout play that he's loved so much. We do have Lex catching out the Genesect EX. Then we have a Float Stone on the Garbodor there. And an Ultra Ball. He's going to grab a second Garbodor. And a second Float Stone. And then Juniper this turn. A very, very strong turn for Lex. Double Garbodor. Now Henry cannot use Red Signal with Genesect EX. And even if he catches one Garbodor and knocks it out, there's still a second one waiting. So he'll need a Tool Scrapper to really gain back his abilities. And abilities have proven to be extremely useful for Henry, especially Virizion EX is one that has prevented those hypnotoxic lasers from causing status effects. All right, so here is one of those hypnotoxic lasers. Looks like Genesect is going to be asleep here. And then Lex is going to retreat. He has to discard the energy since the Garbotoxin shuts off Dark Cloak. And we're going to have a Night Spear. Looks like Lex is going to be the one to strike first in this game. And oh my goodness, Henry stays asleep. If he doesn't have a Tool Scrapper to regain his abilities, that Genesect is just going to hang there for 2 prizes. There's no reason to play Switch in this Virizion Genesect deck because Virizion EX prevents status effects, and I mean, you just have Floatstone to retreat, so why would you play Switch in this deck? And this is going to be a huge, huge turn for Lex. Oh man. What can Henry do this turn? He's going to bench a second Drifloon here and then Tropical Beach. That heads, tails on laser is just so devastating for any deck to experience. I think if anybody's played, we have all experienced this. I myself have encountered this many, many times. There's no worse feeling than your Pokemon staying asleep through the turn thanks to Hypnotoxic Laser, and then you just have to sit there and watch your Pokemon die. Well, I guess get knocked out. Pokemon don't die. Sorry, kids. Alright, so we have a Skyla here for a Dark Patch. Get a second energy out of this Darkrai, and it looks like Lex is just improving his position more and more and more. Even if this active Darkrai goes down, he'll have a second one ready and powered up. And now we're going to have a Night Spear for a knockout on this active Genesect EX. 32 bench Pokemon. He's just going to try to figure out what 30. Or where he wants to put that 30 damage. There's already 40 on the Virizion EX. Does he go for the Genesect EX? Try to go for a big Dark Claw, Verbank laser play down the road? Lex is trying to make this decision. This 30 damage is extremely relevant. That can definitely impact the game, and he's going to go for the Genesect EX. I do like that play. And we're going to have, the G Booster goes down onto Genesect EX, and an Energy and a Juniper. So he may be going for a Colress machine so that he can G Booster for the 2 prizes, but even if he does that, I don't know if that's enough. There is the Colress machine, though. He's going to go ahead and put the Plasma Energy onto Genesect EX. Now, this could be huge for Henry. If he can pull off back-to-back G Booster knockouts, he could definitely win this game. Knock out the first Darkrai. If Genesect survives, another Colress machine, another Grass, and then G Booster 2 straight Darkrai's. That'll take 6 energy off of Lex's field. And really, I don't know if he can respond to that at that point. Henry may be able to win if that does happen. But we're going to have to see, will he use Emerald Slash this turn or just go for that G Booster? Take the knockout on the Darkrai. It seems like in his position, he may almost just be forced to take the G Booster knockout and try to go for that back-to-back knockout. So what will Henry do here? He's got tough decisions ahead. He's taking a look at Lex's discard pile. He's saying, all right, he may be looking for enhanced hammers, honestly. Lex discarded 2 early on. He actually plays a 3rd. And oh, there's a tool scrapper. Gets rid of both float stones. He would have liked to have that last turn, that's for sure. And here we go. Here is that G booster. And we're going to see 200. Lex already puts the Darkrai in the discard pile. And he promotes Garbodor. That signifies he does have another float stone. There's the Hypnotoxic Laser. If he can get a... He's going to play another laser since he's going to Juniper this turn. If he can get the Dark Claw and the Verbank this turn and an Energy, he can Night Spear this Genesect for the knockout, and that will lock up this game effectively. It's actually going to Super Rod 3 Darkness Energy in there. Wow, there is lots of Dark Energy in the discard pile. So this is going to be probably the big turn of the game here. Can Lex get a knockout? And if not, can Henry respond with the G booster to tie the game? And we're going to have a Juniper. There's the Dark Patch. So the Darkrai will be powered up. What? No, does not get the Dark Claw and the Verbank. So this Genesect will survive. It will survive the turn. That's big for Henry. The unfortunate part for Henry is that Lex has drawn some pretty good cards. There's the Dark Patch onto Darkrai. He also has the Dowsing Machine in hand, just in case. He may want to hold on to that because he could be stuck in a weird spot where Garbodor gets stuck. The other one on the bench does not have a float stone. So now I assume we'll see a Night Spear out of Lex. Henry will need a Colress Machine and a Grass to G-Booster for the 2nd straight turn. And we do have an attachment onto the Darkrai. We're going to have a Retreat, and looks like a Night Spear. He's actually going to look through Henry's discard pile first, just to see. Let's see, there are 2 Plasma Energy in Henry's discard, it looks like. And now we're going to have a Night Spear. The Genesect will survive. And the Virizion EX is going to take another 30, so that's at 70 damage. The active is at 150. It already had 60 on it, I think. Feel like the damage should be different. There might be one. Oh no, there's 30 on the Genesect EX going into this turn. My apologies. So now there's 150. I don't really know. Is there a Dark Claw on there? I can't even see what kind of damage is on there. All right, so we have a Juniper here. Will Henry draw the Colress Machine and the Grass? And, oh, he did, but he drew a Plasma Energy. Is that the Plasma Energy that he needed to be in his deck for the G-Booster this turn? Uh-oh. Can Henry pull off this G-Booster attack this turn? If not, he'll be forced to retreat into Virizion EX. And if he does that, it looks like it's just a simple Night Spear, and Lex will win this game. He will move on to 6-0 here at the Klaczynski Open. Our 13-year-old player who had the guts to play in the Masters division is going to make a name for himself here, that's for sure. What can Henry do here? He's searching, looking to see what he has left. Does he have any options here? He's already played a supporter for the turn. Looks like... Oh, there's 3 Plasma Energy in the discard pile. He drew the 4th one off the Juniper. He needed to draw the Colress Machine, but not the Plasma Energy. You need the Plasma Energy to be inside your deck for Colress Machine to work. You need to take that out of your deck. And when it's in your hand, the Colress Machine doesn't work. You can only attach 1 energy for the turn, and he won't be able to use G-Booster. And I think this game might just be over now. So Henry is going to Ultra Ball away the Colress Machine. He realizes, all right, I cannot even use this. Plasma Energy's in my hand. And what is he going to take with this? Seems like the writing is on the wall now, folks. I don't see how Henry can come back from this kind of a situation. He's going to grab another Genesect EX. How does he even power it up, though? He just won't have time. There will be too much pressure from Night Spear. The only thing he could do is perhaps have a catcher and bring out the Garbodor that does not have a Pokemon tool on it. But if I can see correctly, it looks like there's enough damage for Lex to get a double knockout with Night Spear. We'll see based on what Henry does. If he promotes the Virizion, then obviously. Alright, so it looks like Lex just need a Pokemon catcher here, and he'll win the game. He has a Dark Claw and the catcher, and there it is. Lex D'Andrea is going to go 6-0 here at the Klaczynski Open. Our 13-year-old player has somehow managed to make it through the field undefeated, 6-0. That's 6 best 2 out of 3 series in a row. What a story for this young guy. He is definitely showing off his skill here today. And that was one incredible series. I don't know what else to say. This is just an amazing story. Is Lex going to take home the trophy here at the Klaczynski Open? This would definitely be something we did not expect coming into this weekend. But it's pretty obvious this kid knows how to play. He knows his stuff. He made incredible decisions throughout that entire match. And as a result, he is one of our 2 6-0 players after this round, and he is a lock to make the top 8 here. Wow, what an incredible run. So thanks, guys, for watching round number 6. We'll have one more round here to close out the Swiss rounds, and then we'll cut to a top 8 here at the Klaczynski Open. It's anybody's game here, folks. And Lex, this might be his tournament. We'll have to find out. So stay tuned. We'll be back for round number 7. And then following that, we'll have the top 8, and we'll decide a winner today. So stay tuned, folks. Spread the word. Get on Twitter and Facebook. #KO2013. And hopefully we'll see you guys for the later rounds.